The sun hung high in the sky, casting a warm golden glow over the endless desert. The sands shimmered like tiny sparks, stretching as far as the eye could see. Liam stood at the edge of the small desert town, feeling the heat on his skin and the soft wind on his face. This was the beginning of a journey he had dreamed about for years. He had come to explore the vast, untouched desert and discover the secrets hidden among the dunes. Liam was young but determined. His dark hair was tousled by the wind, and his brown eyes reflected both curiosity and excitement. He adjusted the strap of his backpack and looked around. The town was small but busy. Traders were unloading goods, children ran laughing through the sandy streets, and the air smelled of spices and fresh bread. But Liam's attention was drawn not to the town, but to the desert beyond. He had heard stories of the golden dunes, of hidden oases and ancient ruins buried under the sand. But he knew the desert was dangerous for anyone who did not know its ways. He needed a guide, someone who could show him the safe paths and teach him how to survive the harsh climate. That's when he saw her. Mara was standing near a water stall, talking to a group of travelers. She had long black hair tied neatly, and her tan skin glowed under the sun. Her eyes were sharp and calm, scanning the surroundings with quiet confidence. She wore simple desert clothes, light but protective, perfect for the heat. Liam felt a strange sense of admiration at how she moved with ease, as if she belonged to the desert itself. He took a deep breath and walked toward her. "Excuse me," he said politely. "I'm looking for someone to guide me across the desert. Are you available?" Mara studied him for a moment. "It depends," she said, her voice calm but firm. "The desert is not kind to those who are unprepared. Are you ready for long walks under the sun and cold nights in the sand?" Liam smiled. "I am. I want to see the desert, and I want to learn from someone who knows it well." Her eyes softened slightly, and she nodded. "Very well. I will guide you. But remember, the desert is not just sand and sun. It has its own rules. Respect them, and it will show you wonders. Ignore them, and it will teach you a hard lesson." Liam felt a thrill of excitement. He could already tell that Mara was someone special, someone who understood the desert in ways he could only imagine. "I promise I will listen," he said. By mid-afternoon, they were ready to leave the town. Liam adjusted his pack, and Mara led the way, walking steadily across the warm sand. The dunes rose and fell like golden waves, each one unique, each one hiding mysteries beneath. The sun beat down, and the heat made Liam's steps heavier, but Mara moved effortlessly, guiding him along paths he could not have found on his own. As they walked, Mara pointed out small signs of life, tiny desert flowers, tracks of animals, and the distant glint of an oasis. "The desert is alive," she explained. "It may seem empty, but it has its own rhythm. You just need to learn how to listen." Liam nodded, absorbing every word. He felt a sense of awe not just at the desert, but at Mara herself. She was patient, knowledgeable, and calm, even under the harsh sun. He had never met anyone like her before, and he felt a strange mixture of respect and curiosity growing inside him. As the day wore on, the sun began to lower, painting the sky with shades of orange and pink. They reached a small plateau where they decided to rest for the night. Mara quickly set up a small tent, and Liam helped, though he was still learning the ropes. The desert wind was gentle now, carrying a cool relief from the heat of the day. Sitting outside the tent, Liam watched the colors of the sunset shift across the dunes. Mara poured them both a cup of water from her canteen. "It is important to stay hydrated," she said with a small smile. "Thank you," Liam said, taking a sip. I don't think I've ever seen anything as beautiful as this. Mara glanced at him, her expression thoughtful. The desert teaches you many things, she said softly. Patience, strength, and respect for the world around you. You will learn, if you are willing. Liam smiled, feeling a quiet excitement. He knew this was only the beginning of their journey. The desert was vast and full of secrets, and he was ready to explore every inch with Mara by his side. And somehow, he felt that this journey would not just be about the desert, but about something more, something deep and unforgettable, waiting to grow between them. As night fell, the golden dunes turned into soft shadows, and the stars began to appear, sparkling like tiny lanterns in the sky. Liam lay back, listening to the gentle desert wind, thinking about the adventure ahead and the woman who would share it with him. For the first time, he realized that the desert could be more than just a challenge, it could be the beginning of something wonderful. The sun had finally disappeared beyond the horizon, leaving the desert bathed in soft shades of orange and purple. The heat of the day gave way to a gentle, cool breeze, and the golden sand glowed faintly under the fading light. Liam and Mara's small tent sat alone on a quiet plateau, a humble shelter in the vast desert. Inside the tent, lanterns hung from the canvas, casting a warm, golden light. The glow made the small space feel cozy and safe, a tiny haven in the middle of endless dunes. Mara moved with practiced ease, arranging their sleeping mats and unrolling their supplies. Liam watched her, noticing how calm and confident she was, even after a long day under the blazing sun. Here, let me help, Liam said, carefully spreading a blanket on the mat. Mara smiled, a soft expression that made Liam's chest warm. Thank you, Liam. It is good to have someone willing to learn, she said. Once they had settled inside, Mara poured a small cup of water for each of them. The quiet sound of water pouring into metal cups seemed unusually comforting. They sat cross-legged on their mats, facing each other, and Liam took a sip, enjoying the coolness after the day's heat. I still can't believe how beautiful the desert is, Liam said, his voice quiet in the small space. Even after walking all day, it feels endless. Full of life I never knew existed. Mara nodded, her dark eyes reflecting the soft light of the lantern. Most people see only sand and sun, she said. But the desert has stories. It teaches patience, endurance, and respect. Every rock, every dune, every wind has a reason. Liam leaned back, listening carefully. He felt a strange sense of calm being near her, as if the desert itself had softened its harshness for this moment. Do you always travel alone? He asked, genuinely curious. Not always, Mara replied. Sometimes I guide travelers, like you. Other times, I wander to see the world in quiet moments. The desert feels different each time. It changes depending on who is willing to notice it. Liam smiled, appreciating her words. He had spent his life reading about deserts and exploring small forests near his home, but he had never felt such closeness to nature. And it wasn't just the desert, it was Mara's presence that made everything seem sharper, brighter, and more alive. For the next hour, they shared stories. Liam spoke of cities he had visited, libraries he had explored, and dreams of writing about human courage and discovery. Mara shared tales of the desert, hidden oases, rare plants, and ancient ruins buried beneath the sand. Liam found himself fascinated not only by her knowledge but also by the way she spoke, with patience and a quiet joy that made every story feel vivid. At one point, Mara laughed softly at a story Liam told about getting lost in a small forest as a child. The sound was gentle, like a soft bell in the quiet night, and Liam felt a warmth he had not expected. "You laugh easily," he said, smiling. "It is nice to hear someone enjoy simple things." "I find joy in small moments," Mara said. "Especially when the world seems too big or too fast. Moments like this, they remind me why I explore." The conversation continued as the night deepened, and the temperature dropped. Outside, the desert wind whispered across the dunes, and stars began to blanket the sky, brighter than Liam had ever seen in the city. He felt a sense of wonder, both at the world around him and at the woman sitting across from him. At one point, Mara reached for a small notebook, sketching a desert flower she had found earlier. Liam watched her, amazed by her attention to detail and the care she took in her work. "You notice everything," he said softly. Mara looked up, her eyes meeting his. "The desert only gives itself fully to those who pay attention," she said. Her voice was gentle but certain, and Liam felt his admiration deepen. For the rest of the evening, they spoke quietly, about dreams, hopes, and the beauty of the world. The tent felt like a small universe where nothing existed except the sand outside, the soft glow of the lantern, and the two of them. Liam realized that he had never felt such a calm connection with anyone before. Mara's presence was comforting, inspiring, and, strangely magnetic. Finally, as the night grew colder, Mara unrolled a blanket for Liam. "Rest well," she said kindly. "Tomorrow will be another long day, but the desert will show you wonders." Liam nodded, feeling a mixture of excitement and comfort. "I think the desert already has," he said quietly, thinking of Mara. Outside, the wind hummed softly across the dunes. Inside the small golden tent, two travelers lay side by side, the bond between them growing quietly but surely. For Liam, the desert had already begun to teach him something new, not just about the world, but about trust, admiration, and the gentle beginnings of friendship, maybe even something more. The next morning, the desert greeted Liam and Mara with the same golden heat as before. The sun rose slowly, casting long shadows across the rolling dunes. Birds called faintly in the distance, and the wind whispered over the sand, carrying with it the faint scent of dry earth. Liam stretched, feeling a mixture of excitement and nervous energy. Today, Mara had promised, they would explore a part of the desert she said few travelers ever saw. Mara was already awake, adjusting the tent flaps and checking their supplies. Her movements were calm and precise, as though she had done this hundreds of times before. "We should start soon," she said, her dark eyes scanning the horizon. "The desert can change quickly, and we need to be ready." Liam nodded, finishing his small breakfast. He admired how Mara moved with such ease, even under the sun's growing heat. She seemed part of the desert, comfortable in its endless waves of sand. Liam had never met anyone so connected to nature. They began walking across the dunes, their footprints disappearing behind them almost immediately in the shifting sand. Mara led confidently, pointing out small signs of desert life, a faint track of a lizard, a hidden desert flower, and the pattern of wind across the sand that hinted at nearby dunes. Liam followed closely, trying to notice the details she mentioned. Hours passed, and the sun climbed higher. Liam felt the heat pressing down, but Mara's steady pace and calm words kept him moving. Then, almost suddenly, the wind began to shift. Liam noticed it first a faint whisper at first, then stronger gusts that tugged at his clothing and hair. "Wait," Mara said, raising a hand. Her eyes scanned the horizon. In the distance, a wall of sand was rising, moving quickly toward them. "A sandstorm," she called. We must find shelter fast. The wind picked up, carrying tiny grains of sand that stung Liam's face. He squinted, shielding his eyes, and tried to follow Mara's direction. The dunes seemed to shift around them, making it difficult to keep their bearings. But Mara moved with certainty, guiding him through the rough terrain. Finally, they reached a small depression in the sand, a natural hollow between two dunes. Mara quickly pulled the tent from her pack and began securing it. Liam helped, though his hands shook from the wind and the sudden fear. Together, they worked to anchor the tent before the storm hit fully. The sandstorm arrived with full force, a swirling wall of gold and brown. The wind howled, carrying grains that whipped against the tent and their skin. Inside the tent, the sound was muffled but still intense, and the canvas flapped violently. Liam sat down, catching his breath, while Mara tightened the last ropes. "Good," she said finally, her voice calm despite the storm outside. "We're safe for now." Liam looked at her, amazed. "You were so calm out there. I was worried we wouldn't make it." Mara shook her head with a small smile. "The desert tests you. If you panic, it becomes harder. You must move with it, not against it." Inside the tent, the storm created a strange, intimate atmosphere. The flapping canvas made them sit closer, and Liam noticed Mara's steady hands as she checked the ropes again. He felt a sudden appreciation for her courage and skill. It was one thing to survive the desert, it was another to see someone handle danger with such calm confidence. "Do you often face storms like this?" Liam asked, trying to keep his voice steady over the wind. "Not always," Mara replied. "But they happen. And each one teaches something new about the desert, and about yourself." She glanced at him. "And about those who travel with you." Liam smiled, feeling a warmth in her words. He realized that this experience, frightening as it was, had brought them closer. He trusted her completely in a way he hadn't expected. For the next hour, they sat quietly in the tent, listening to the storm's roar. Liam watched Mara's face in the lantern light, noticing the calm determination in her eyes. He realized that this journey was more than an adventure, it was a chance to learn from someone remarkable, someone who made him feel brave and curious all at once. Finally, the wind began to die down, and the sandstorm moved past, leaving the desert quiet once more. Liam stepped outside first, feeling the soft sand beneath his feet and the cool breeze against his face. Mara followed, adjusting her scarf against the lingering dust. The desert had changed again, dunes shifted, tracks erased, and the golden sand glimmered differently under the afternoon sun. Liam looked at Mara, feeling admiration, and something more he could not yet name. "Thank you," he said quietly. "For keeping us safe." Mara smiled, her eyes warm. "We keep each other safe. That is what matters in the desert." Together, they continued walking, the desert stretching endlessly before them. Liam felt a new sense of respect and closeness. He knew that the storm had tested more than their survival, it had tested their trust and built a silent bond between them. And as they moved forward, he realized that this adventure would teach him not only about the desert, but about courage, friendship, and the quiet beginnings of something deeper. The desert after the storm felt different. The golden sand sparkled with tiny grains washed clean by the wind, and the air was fresher than Liam had ever felt. He followed Mara carefully, trusting her guidance as they continued across the dunes. The sun was warm, but not as harsh as the day before, and the sky stretched wide and clear above them. "You will see something today that few travelers ever find," Mara said, her voice calm, yet full of quiet excitement. "A place that is alive, even in the middle of this desert. Liam's curiosity grew. He had seen small oases before, but Mara's words made him feel that this would be something extraordinary. He walked steadily behind her, careful not to lose sight of her flowing movements. Mara seemed to glide across the sand, every step confident and precise. Liam admired how she knew the desert so well. After some hours of walking, they reached the top of a high dune. Mara paused and gestured for him to stop. "Look there," she said softly. Liam squinted and then blinked in surprise. Far below, nestled between the dunes, was a hidden oasis. Its water was a deep, sparkling blue, surrounded by lush green palms that swayed gently in the breeze. The golden sand around it made the colors even more striking. Liam felt his heart lift at the sight. He had never imagined the desert could hide such beauty. Mara smiled at his reaction. "I have kept this place secret for years," she said. "Few people know it exists. It is safe, calm, and full of life. The desert allows it to remain hidden because it trusts those who are patient and respectful." They began their descent carefully, the sand soft beneath their feet. When they reached the oasis, Liam could hear the gentle rustle of the palm leaves and the soft trickle of water. Birds and insects were already active, adding sounds of life to the peaceful scene. Liam knelt near the edge of the water, dipping his hands in the cool liquid. The water was refreshing, and he could see tiny fish darting beneath the surface. "This is incredible," Liam said, looking around. "I never imagined something like this existed here." Mara sat nearby, her legs crossed, observing him with a quiet smile. "The desert gives, if you know how to look," she said. "Not everything is visible on the surface. Sometimes, you must walk carefully, notice small signs, and trust the journey." Liam nodded, feeling a deep respect for her knowledge and patience. He had been a visitor to many places, but this was different. The oasis felt magical, as if it had waited for them to find it. And Mara, her presence made it feel even more special. He realized that seeing the oasis with her made it more meaningful than any place he had ever visited alone. They spent the afternoon exploring. Liam watched as Mara pointed out rare desert flowers growing near the palms and showed him how some plants could survive without much water. He listened closely, learning not only about the desert, but about her careful observations, her love for nature, and the quiet joy she found in small details. At one point, Mara picked up a smooth stone and handed it to Liam. "Take this," she said. "It is a reminder of this place. Sometimes, even in a vast desert, you find moments worth keeping." Liam held the stone in his hand, feeling its cool smoothness. "I will keep it," he said softly, realizing he wanted to remember both the oasis and this moment with her forever. As the sun began to lower in the sky, they sat together near the water, watching the reflections of the palms shimmer. Liam felt a sense of calm he had not known in the desert before. Mara's presence was comforting, and he found himself opening up more, sharing stories of his childhood and dreams for the future. She listened carefully, asking gentle questions, and he felt understood in a way that was rare for him. For a long moment, they sat quietly, enjoying the beauty around them. The desert was vast and endless, but this small oasis felt like a hidden universe of peace and life. Liam glanced at Mara and realized that the journey he had started for adventure had already given him something even more precious, a connection with someone remarkable, someone who made the desert feel alive in new ways. As the day ended and the sky turned soft shades of pink and purple, Mara stood and stretched. "We should prepare to leave soon," she said. "The desert changes quickly, and we must return before dark." Liam stood beside her, looking back at the oasis one last time. "Thank you for showing me this," he said quietly. "I don't think I'll ever forget it or you." Mara smiled, a gentle warmth in her eyes. "Then let us continue," she said. Together, they walked back toward the dunes, carrying with them the memory of a hidden paradise and the feeling that this journey had only just begun. Night had fallen over the desert, leaving the dunes in gentle shadows. The sky was filled with stars, shining brightly in a way Liam had never seen in the city. Each star seemed to twinkle with its own quiet story, and the air was cool and soft against his skin. The desert was silent except for the whisper of the wind and the occasional rustle of sand. Liam and Mara had set up their small tent near a quiet dune. Inside, the lantern cast a warm glow, but they chose to sit just outside, letting the vast desert surround them. The soft night made the desert feel calm and alive at the same time. Liam leaned back on his hands, staring up at the stars, while Mara sat cross-legged nearby, looking at him with a gentle smile. "The stars are beautiful tonight," Liam said quietly. "They feel endless, just like the desert." Mara nodded. "The desert and the sky teach patience," she said softly. "If you look carefully, they tell you stories, if you are willing to listen." Liam turned to her. "I never thought about the desert that way. I always imagined it as harsh, empty, and difficult. But with you, it feels alive, almost like it has a heart." Mara's smile deepened, and she looked away for a moment, studying the distant horizon. "It does have a heart," she said. "You just have to see it with respect. Many travelers miss it because they rush or fear it." Liam felt a quiet warmth inside him. He realized that Mara not only guided him across the desert but had also shown him a new way of seeing the world. "I want to see it," he said softly. "I want to understand it fully, and maybe write about it someday." Mara tilted her head, curious. "Write about it? Tell stories?" "Yes," Liam said, feeling a little shy. "I want to write about people and the world, about courage, patience, and discovery. About the beauty that some people never see." Mara's eyes sparkled in the lantern light. "Then you have started your journey," she said. "Not just through the desert, but through understanding life itself. You must pay attention, listen, and respect. Then you will have stories that matter." They sat in silence for a few moments, watching the stars and feeling the soft desert wind. The quiet made Liam feel closer to Mara, as if her presence gave the night more meaning. He realized that this journey was not just about adventure or discovery, it was about sharing moments with someone who understood the world in a way he never had. After a while, Mara spoke again, her voice gentle. "What else do you dream of, Liam? Besides writing?" Liam thought for a moment. "I want to see more of the world, meet people, learn their stories, and maybe, find a place where I belong. A place where I can feel connected to both nature and people." Mara nodded thoughtfully. "I feel the same," she said. "I travel the desert to understand it, to protect it, and to teach others its beauty. But I also dream of a place where I feel complete, where my work and life connect." Liam turned to her, noticing how her eyes reflected the starlight. "It seems we are searching for similar things," he said softly. "The world is big, but sometimes, you find someone who makes it feel smaller, and better." Mara looked at him, a gentle smile on her face. "Perhaps the desert brought us together for a reason," she said. "It shows wonders, yes, but it also shows connections." Liam felt his heart beat a little faster. He had always thought the desert was a place of solitude, but with Mara, it felt full of life and warmth. He wanted to share more of himself, to trust her, and to learn more about her dreams and thoughts. For the rest of the night, they spoke quietly, sharing hopes and plans for the future. Liam told Mara about cities he wished to visit, books he wanted to write, and the stories he longed to tell. Mara shared her love for the desert, the hidden places she had discovered, and her wish to teach others to appreciate the world around them. As the desert night deepened, Liam realized something important. He had come seeking adventure, but what he had found was far more meaningful: a connection with someone remarkable, someone who shared not only knowledge of the desert but also a heart full of kindness and understanding. Finally, Mara stretched and yawned softly. "We should rest," she said. "Tomorrow will be another day full of discovery." Liam nodded, feeling a mixture of contentment and anticipation. "Yes," he said. "But tonight, I feel like I have already learned something very important." Mara smiled, her eyes soft. "Then the desert has given us more than just beauty. It has given us moments to remember." As they lay down under the stars, Liam thought about the journey ahead and about Mara. The desert was vast and endless, but for the first time, he felt a quiet hope. A hope that the adventures, the beauty, and the quiet nights would bring not only discovery but also something precious and lasting. And in the silent desert night, under a sky filled with stars, Liam realized that some dreams were not just about places, they were about people, connection, and shared moments that could change life forever. The next morning, the desert sun rose gently over the dunes, painting them in soft shades of gold. Liam and Mara packed their small camp and began their journey back toward the desert town. Today was special. The town was holding its annual festival, a celebration of life, trade, and the desert's unique culture. Mara had promised Liam that he would see the colors, music, and traditions of the town in a way most travelers never experienced. As they approached, Liam could hear the distant sound of drums and laughter. Colorful banners hung along the streets, and the scent of spices, fresh bread, and sweets filled the air. People were setting up stalls, selling pottery, fabrics, and handmade jewelry. Children ran through the streets, chasing one another with bright smiles, while musicians played lively tunes on drums and flutes. "This is amazing," Liam said, his eyes wide with excitement. "I've never seen anything like this." Mara smiled. "The festival is a way for the town to celebrate the desert and its people. It shows respect for life, for tradition, and for each other." They walked through the bustling streets together. Liam admired Mara's ease as she greeted shopkeepers and children along the way. She seemed to belong here, moving gracefully through the crowd while Liam struggled to keep up. Yet, he found himself enjoying the chaos. The music, the laughter, and the bright colors all seemed to lift his spirits. At one stall, Mara stopped and pointed to a small woven scarf. "Take this," she said softly, handing it to Liam. "It will keep you warm at night and remind you of the desert." Liam accepted it, feeling a warmth that had nothing to do with the fabric. "Thank you," he said. "I'll treasure it." As the day went on, they watched dancers twirl in bright costumes, laughed at playful games, and tasted sweet treats from the vendors. Liam found himself holding Mara's hand instinctively at one point, guiding her through a crowded street. She looked at him, a gentle smile on her face, and did not pull away. The small touch felt significant, a quiet confirmation of the bond that had been growing between them. At the center of the town, a large circle of people had gathered around musicians playing fast, lively songs. Mara tugged Liam toward the circle. "Come," she said with a playful glint in her eyes. Dance with me. Liam hesitated for a moment, feeling awkward in the crowd. Mara laughed softly, taking his hands. It's simple. Just follow my lead. The music swelled, and Liam followed her movements as best he could. At first, he stumbled over his feet, but Mara's gentle guidance and patient smile made him relax. Soon, he found himself laughing, enjoying the rhythm, and forgetting his worries. Mara's laughter joined his, bright and light, echoing across the plaza. After the dance, they sat on a low wall, catching their breath and watching the sun lower in the sky. Liam felt a sense of joy he had rarely experienced. This festival, it's incredible. But sharing it with you makes it even better, he said softly. Mara looked at him, her eyes meeting his. I feel the same, she said. It is different when you experience something with someone who appreciates it as much as you do. They walked together as lanterns began to glow along the streets, casting warm light over the town. Music and laughter continued, but now the atmosphere was calmer, with families enjoying quiet moments and friends sharing stories. Liam and Mara moved through the crowd, hands occasionally brushing against each other, each touch sending a quiet warmth between them. At the edge of the plaza, Mara paused and looked at Liam. Tonight is special, she said softly. Not just because of the festival, but because of how we share it. Remember this feeling, the joy, the connection, the beauty of the desert and its people. Liam nodded, feeling a strong sense of gratitude. I will. I don't think I've ever felt so alive, he admitted, his voice quiet but full of sincerity. The festival slowly began to wind down. Lanterns flickered, and the desert wind carried a gentle coolness. Liam and Mara found a quiet spot on a small dune overlooking the town. They sat side by side, watching the glow of the lanterns reflect in the distance. The music had faded to soft echoes, leaving only the whisper of the wind and the sense of shared peace. Liam turned to Mara, feeling a quiet courage rise inside him. Mara. I'm glad I met you, he said softly. This journey, the desert, the festival, everything feels brighter with you here. Mara's eyes softened, and she reached out, gently brushing her hand against his. I feel the same, Liam. You've come into the desert with curiosity and respect, and that makes all the difference. For a long moment, they sat in silence, letting the desert night and the soft glow of lanterns fill the space between them. The festival had ended, but the warmth of connection remained. Liam realized that this journey was no longer just about exploration, it was about discovering something precious, a bond growing quietly, steadily, and beautifully between them. As they prepared to leave the town and return to the dunes, Liam felt a new excitement. The desert held many more wonders, and with Mara by his side, he knew that each step would be an adventure, filled with joy, respect, and the quiet beginnings of love. The golden desert stretched endlessly under the late afternoon sun. Liam and Mara walked side by side, their footprints trailing behind them in soft sand. The festival in the desert town had ended, leaving only quiet streets and distant lanterns flickering in the warm evening breeze. Now, they were back on the dunes, returning to the tent that had been their home during the journey. Liam adjusted his backpack, feeling a mixture of excitement and unease. He had learned so much from Mara, not only about the desert, but about life, courage, and friendship. And yet, he knew that soon he would have to return to the city. The thought of leaving Mara behind made his chest tighten. Mara noticed his quiet mood. You are thinking about leaving, she said softly, her eyes reflecting the golden light. Liam nodded. Yes. I have responsibilities, things I must do back home. but I don't want to leave this place or you behind. Mara smiled gently, though there was a hint of sadness in her eyes. The desert teaches us that every journey has a beginning and an end. But some connections do not end, even when the journey does. You must decide what is most important to you. They reached the small tent they had used for shelter. The golden canvas flapped gently in the evening breeze. Inside, the familiar warmth and comfort welcomed them. Mara unpacked a small bag and handed Liam a smooth, flat stone. "This is from the oasis," she said. "A reminder of what we discovered together. Keep it, and remember this journey, and the moments we shared." Liam held the stone carefully, feeling its smooth surface in his hand. "I will," he said softly. "It will remind me of the desert, and of you." Mara looked at him, her expression calm but tender. "And I will remember you as well. You came with curiosity, respect, and an open heart. That is rare in travelers." For a moment, they sat quietly in the tent, listening to the soft whisper of the desert wind. Liam realized how much he had come to value Mara's presence, her knowledge, her patience, and the quiet warmth that made every moment brighter. "I don't want to leave," Liam admitted, his voice low. "This journey, the desert, the festival, everything feels more meaningful because you were here." Mara reached out, gently placing her hand over his. "Then perhaps leaving is not the only choice," she said. "The desert shows us paths we might not see at first. Sometimes, taking a chance is the only way to follow the heart." Liam looked into her eyes, feeling a wave of certainty and hope. He realized that his journey had changed him not just in how he saw the desert, but in how he felt about life and connections. "You mean, we could find a way to be together?" he asked. Mara nodded, a gentle smile spreading across her face. "Yes. The world is large, and the desert is vast, but if both hearts are willing, distance is only temporary." Liam felt a warmth in his chest, stronger than anything he had felt before. "I promise I will return," he said firmly. "And when I do, we will continue our journey together." Mara's eyes softened, and she squeezed his hand lightly. "I will wait," she said. "The desert has taught me patience. And I will wait for you." Outside, the sun dipped lower, turning the sky into shades of pink, orange, and purple. The dunes glowed softly in the fading light, and the wind carried the gentle scent of sand and distant flowers. It felt like the desert itself was blessing their promise. Liam stood, holding Mara's hand as they stepped outside the tent. They walked a few steps into the open desert, feeling the warmth of the sand beneath their feet and the vast sky above. Liam looked out over the dunes, thinking about the journey they had shared, the hidden oasis, the sandstorm, the festival, and the quiet nights under the stars. "This is not the end," he said quietly. "It is the beginning of something greater." Mara smiled, leaning slightly against him. "Yes," she agreed. "The desert brought us together, and it will guide us again." As the night fell, the first stars appeared, twinkling like tiny lanterns over the golden dunes. Liam and Mara stood together, hand in hand, feeling the quiet strength of their bond. They had learned from the desert, from each other, and from the journey they shared. And though the future was uncertain, they both knew one thing for sure: some connections were too strong to be broken. The desert, vast and endless, had given them a gift: not just adventure, but trust, friendship, and the beginnings of love that could last a lifetime. With the stars above and the sand around them, Liam and Mara made a silent promise to the desert and to each other. Whatever the future held, they would face it together. The journey might take them apart for a while, but their hearts would remain connected forever. The golden desert stretched endlessly, quiet and serene, as the two travelers stood together, ready to meet whatever came next with hope, courage, and the promise of love.